Have you ever imagined buying your dream home with all your hard work only to have a complete stranger show up at your door on the very first day, handing you a fine? Has your very first day ever turned from peace into humiliation and anger? What would you do if a neighbor went as far as calling the police just to harass you? And imagine this. When the police arrive at your door, they call you by a title that changes everything. That was the moment the entire game flipped. The first thing you should know is that I did not even have a chance to breathe in my new home before Karen showed up. Not the kind of welcome wagon you hope for when you finally escape. The city noise to settle into a quiet ranch cabin. I had barely parked my truck, dust still swirling in. The air when she marched across the gravel arms, folded HOA badge of authority practically glowing off her chest. "You cannot park here," she snapped. I laughed, thought she was joking. Then she shoved a paper in my hand. "Violation fine." "For what?" I asked. She smirked. "For disturbing the neighborhood." That is when it hit me. She was serious. The woman had fined me before. I had even unpacked a single box. I should have ignored her. Should have walked inside and closed the door. But no. I told her plainly that I was not paying a dime. And that is when her eyes narrowed like a cat about to pounce. She whispered, "You will regret that." She was wrong, because what she did next would not just expose her petty tyranny. It would drag her into a spotlight she was not prepared for. That spotlight would burn. But here is the part you need to stick around for. When the cops showed up and looked at me, one of them froze. Then he called me Captain. Karen did not see that coming. Neither did I. When the officer addressed me as Captain, the room tilted for Karen. Her smirk evaporated. So fast it was almost comical. Yes, Captain. That was not a hobby title. Had served. My years in uniform meant more than medals. They meant training in spotting patterns, manipulation, abuse of authority, and I was looking at Karen like a case file ready to be documented. The cop asked me a few standard questions, and when I explained that I had just moved in with property deed and ID in hand, his entire tone softened. He looked at Karen, then back at me. Then he apologized for the inconvenience. Karen tried to cut in. "Oh, officer, don't be fooled. He has been gone for weeks. I have been keeping the place safe. Everyone knows I look after the community when people travel." He could have copied documents for all we know. The audacity, the delusion. The officer shut her down fast. "Mom, unless you have proof this gentleman owns the property." The conversation ends here. The look on her face could have fueled me for a year. But that was just the start. Over the next weeks, she escalated in ways that felt almost scripted. She fined me for having curtains, not the color approved by HOA guidelines. She reported me for parking slightly over the imaginary line of my driveway. One morning, I found my mailbox door bent backwards like someone had kicked it. Another day, a bright orange sticker appeared on my porch. "Unsafe structure pending inspection," which was laughable since the cabin had passed state inspection 2 months earlier. Every time I peeled off one of her notices, another would appear. Violation, fine, warning. It was a carousel of nonsense, designed to break me down. But here's the twist. Instead of breaking me, it sharpened me. I began documenting every slip she taped to my door, every voicemail, every photo she snapped while pretending to water her plants. Neighbors began to notice too. Whispers grew louder. One even pulled me aside in the grocery store. Careful, she did the same to the Wilsons before they moved out. So it was not just me. This was her pattern. Her empire of control built on fear and fines. That is when the idea started forming. If she wanted a war of paperwork and rules, fine. I could play that game too. Only I had experience she did not know about. I was done playing defense. It was time to plan my counterattack. The breaking point came when I found a violation notice shoved under my door at midnight. Midnight. She was not even trying to hide it anymore. That night I sat at my kitchen table, surrounded by a mountain of yellow slips and HOA letters. Most people would have crumbled under that weight. I felt calm, almost amused, because I knew something Karen did not. Paper trails cut both ways. I started by scanning everything into a neat digital file. Dates, times, her signature, her handwriting. I kept a separate log of incidents. The bent mailbox, the late-night door pounding. Even neighbors who whispered their stories gave me written statements. Then I dove into the HOA bylaws. Page after page of contradictions, loopholes, and rules Karen herself was violating. For instance, her backyard shed was 2 feet higher than regulation. Her dog barking past curfew. Her own trash bins visible from the street for days. Piece by piece, I built a case not just against Karen, but against the HOA board that enabled her. The plan was simple. Expose her at her own game. I requested the next HOA meeting be open to all homeowners, which by law it had to be if I submitted a written request. I sent it certified mail. Could not be ignored. In the meantime, I hung a small camera above my porch light. Not for drama, just quiet documentation. Every time she trespassed, every time she snapped photos, every time she left a note, it was captured. For the first time, I felt in control. The more she pushed, the steadier I became, like a chess player letting the opponent believe they were winning while pieces slid into place. Neighbors started noticing too. One evening, walking my dog, I heard someone mutter, "Finally, someone is standing up to her." By the time the meeting rolled around, I was ready, calm, confident, even a little eager. She had no idea the trap was already set. The night of the HOA meeting, the clubhouse buzzed like a hive. Neighbors filled every chair, some standing in the back. Karen sat at the front table, clipboard ready, chin high, like a queen awaiting applause. When the floor opened for grievances, she jumped up first. She launched into a monologue about my endless violations, the chaos I had brought to the community, the rules I had spit on. She was halfway through when I raised my hand, calm, patient. With the chairperson's nod, I walked to the front table and placed a thick binder on it. "This is my record," I said. "Every notice, every fine, every late-night incident, all dated, signed, photographed." I flipped the binder open and the room leaned forward. Page after page of her handwriting, taped slips, time-stamped photos, even video stills of her trespassing onto my porch at midnight. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Then I revealed the kicker. A slide projected on the wall. Her own violations. Photos of her oversized shed. Her trash bins on the curb for 3 days. Her dog barking past curfew. Each backed by the HOA bylaws she had weaponized against me. The silence was electric. She sputtered, "That is different. I maintain this neighborhood." But the damage was done. One of the board members cleared his throat. "Mom, you are in direct violation of at least 7 regulations." Gasps. Another neighbor chimed in. She fined me for grass length last summer while her own lawn was dead. It was like a dam breaking. One by one, neighbors voiced stories. The Wilsons. The Turners. Even quiet Mrs. Patel admitted Karen had harassed her. Karen tried to shout over them, but her voice was drowned out. The board finally voted. Effective immediately, Karen was suspended from her position. Pending investigation. The look on her face as the clipboard slipped from her hands. That was justice in slow motion. I did not gloat. I simply gathered. My binder looked her in the eye and said softly, "Order restored, Captain, out." The room erupted in applause. Walking back to my cabin that night, the air felt lighter. The silence of the ranch no longer carried her shadow. I thought about the irony. She had tried to drown me in paper. In the end, it was paper that buried her. Neighbors who once avoided eye contact now waved as they passed. Some even stopped to thank me. Not because I was special, but because I stood up when they could not. Justice rarely comes with fireworks. Sometimes it comes with a binder and a projector screen. My biggest takeaway. Bullies thrive on silence. The moment you shine a light on their games, the power drains away. Do not mistake calm for weakness. Sometimes it is the sharpest weapon you have. So I ask you, what would you have done in my place? Would you have paid the fines or fought back? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you made it this far, comment "justice served." So I know you are one of the people who stayed till the end. Because in the end, this was never about fines or rules. It was about one person trying to control an entire community. And failing. As for me, my coffee tastes better now. My mornings are quieter. And every time I see that empty clipboard on the HOA desk, I smile. Captain out.